Have you ever wondered why we have two food products that go by the same name of pepper? We have pepper and pepper. Now these peppers are the fruit of one of our popular garden vegetable plants. Some are sweet, some are hot, but they're all variations of the plant Capsicum annuum, a plant that's native to South America, Central America, and the West Indies. Now this pepper is one of the oldest and probably the most widely used spice in the world today. We know it as black pepper and sometimes known as white pepper depending on how it's processed. But the pepper is made from these ground up peppercorns. The plant that these come from is a woody vine that is native to the Malabar coast of India. Well, the garden peppers are in the family Solanaceae, or the nightshade family, and it contains plants like petunias, tobacco, tomatoes, and potatoes, while the black pepper is in the family Peperomiaceae, and it contains one of our showy house plants, the Peperomia, like we've got right here. Well, it's interesting that both these types of peppers are edible. They share the same name, and they both have a taste that is spicy, hot, or pungent. But other than these few things, they don't have anything else in common. They're in two totally different plant families, and they come from lands that are thousands of miles apart. So why do we call them both pepper? Well, to answer this question, we have to go back and take a look at our history books. And when we do, we'll remember that when Christopher Columbus discovered the New World, he was actually looking for a new trade route to the Far East. And some of the highly coveted trade items from the Far East at that time were the spices, like black pepper. Well, when Columbus discovered the New World and he found the native people in the West Indies eating this food that was so fiery hot, he assumed it was a type of pepper like that from India. So that's what he called it, and the name just kind of stuck. Well, Columbus introduced this new pepper to the rest of the world, and with the established trading routes already in place, it was no time at all before the peppers were being grown in lands everywhere. And it actually sparked the creation of new cuisines in countries like India, China, Thailand, and Indonesia, and pretty much changed the world of cooking forever. Because peppers have been grown in these different parts of the world for so many years, specific local varieties have been developed in different areas. For instance, these little extremely hot peppers down here are a variety that were developed in Southeast Asia. This one's called the Thai hot pepper. And you can see it's a very bushy plant that is a very heavy producer of these little peppers. They have a very thin skin, so they dry really fast. We've also grown a similar variety called the Thai dragon that, like its name says, will make you breathe fire if you taste it. Well, right here in the container, we have a pepper that was developed in the country of Hungary. You can see that it looks like it has kind of a waxy outer coating, and this is the Hungarian wax pepper. And because this one doesn't contain any heat, we know it by its other name, and that is the sweet banana pepper. Of course, the banana peppers are ripe when they reach this pale yellow color, but they will mature to a dark orange or red. Now, if this one were hot, we could call it either a hot banana pepper or a Hungarian hot wax pepper. There are also several other peppers that have been developed in various countries, and we sometimes refer to these as the ethnic peppers. But no matter where the peppers are grown in the world today, they all have their roots right here in the Western Hemisphere. There's several types and varieties of peppers, but most people divide them into two main groups, the sweet peppers and the hot peppers. All the peppers contain a high concentration of vitamin C, with some types as high as 10 times the vitamin C of an orange. Well, when we think of sweet peppers, most people usually think about the bell peppers, the traditional green sweet bell pepper that we chop up and put on our pizza or in our salad or stuff in some way or another. But there are other types of sweet peppers that we call the non-bell sweet peppers. Right down here is an example. This is one called the giant Aconagua, and it looks sort of like a poblano or maybe a chili pepper, but it's actually an elongated bell pepper. It's a very sweet pepper, and it's one of the longest of the sweet peppers. It can actually get up to about 11 inches long. And we go from the giant Aconagua, which is sort of the elongated bell pepper, over here to the Tennessee cheese pepper. And this is a sweet, non-bell-shaped pepper that we sometimes refer to as a tomato-shaped pepper. And of course, the Tennessee cheese is like a little flattened or compressed bell pepper. It has a very thick fruit wall, and also makes a nice little pepper for stuffing. Nice heirloom tomato, the Tennessee cheese. Well, some of the colorful sweet bell peppers, if you've noticed in the supermarket, the yellow ones, the red ones, the oranges, purples, and maybe even some of the black ones, can sometimes cost 3 or 4 times what the green bell peppers cost. So that's a good reason to grow your own. Well, we have a very interesting sweet bell pepper right back here in our garden, and it's called the Albino sweet bell pepper. And you can see it's got a very nice white color. And the Albino pepper is one that shows color very early in the garden. Well, there are also several types and varieties of the hot pepper, and also different heat levels as well. The hot peppers, of course, contain capsaicin. That's the substance that makes the pepper hot. And sometimes we have some hot peppers that are actually grown for their capsaicin content alone. And the capsaicin is extracted and used in certain products like pepper sprays, and also used in deep heating muscle ointments and things like that. So other non-edible uses for the peppers. But the capsaicin is produced in the placenta of the pepper and not in the seeds like a lot of people think. I'm just going to cut this pepper open. This is one of our hot peppers, one of our little chili peppers called the Treasures Red. And right here you can see the seeds, and you can see this this tissue where the seeds are attached. That's the placenta. The seed will absorb some of the capsaicin during the processing of the peppers, but the seeds of a fresh pepper on the vine contain very little of the capsaicin. I can actually put it in my mouth, and it's not very hot at all. We did an experiment here at our gardens the other day where several of us ate some of the seeds of the very hot peppers, and we were fine. One of our brave gardeners ate a small piece of the placenta, and her eyes immediately swelled up and she was running for something cool to drink. Well, if you do have the very hot taste of a hot pepper in your mouth and you're wondering what you need to drink to cool down that sensation, the choice is milk. You could drink milk, eat some yogurt or ice cream, and that's because dairy products contain a substance that disrupts the reaction. Another pepper that we have here in our pepper garden is the bird's eye pepper, and it's also a very hot pepper. This pepper is sometimes called the Chiltepin, and it's a pepper that's used in the hybridization of a lot of the really hot peppers. It may be small, but some people consider it one of the 3 hottest peppers in the world. Peppers are fairly easy to grow in the garden. Since they're closely related to tomatoes, they have pretty similar requirements. The peppers need a spot in full sun, and a well-drained soil is also very important. Peppers don't have a lot of insect problems, but we occasionally see a few disease problems. We can have some viruses, some leaf spot, and some fruit spot. And like tomatoes, peppers also can get blossom end rot. And a good way to help prevent that is to mulch your plants and keep them evenly moist. We also occasionally see a little bit of sun scald on our peppers, like we've got with this one right here. And that usually happens when we don't have good leaf cover over the peppers. Well, in the hottest part of the summer, when the temperatures are above 90 degrees, the peppers don't really set fruit that well, and they actually may drop a good deal of their flowers. And once the temperatures cool back down in the fall, we should see a lot more peppers starting to set and starting to be produced on the plants. Besides being grown as a nutritious treat for the dining table, peppers are also quite useful when grown as ornamentals. More and more people are starting to add these colorful peppers to their planting areas and containers to spice up their gardens. Some of our ornamental peppers have showy foliage, some have really colorful fruit, and a few have both. Right down here we have a very short ornamental pepper. This one's called Nosegay, and you can see the very tight cluster of round marble-shaped fruit along the stem there. And the leaves sort of look like bay leaves a little bit. Right over here we have a showy little ornamental pepper called Medusa, and it's got an erect fruit set. The fruit are pointed straight up and they're held up above the foliage, so they're really easy to see and provide a really nice display. But some people think these peppers look like the twisted, snaky locks of Medusa. Right here is a very showy pepper that a friend of ours gave to us. It's got very dark purple leaves. The flowers are also purple on this pepper. And then we just get a multitude of colors from the fruit as they change colors as they mature. This is a very showy ornamental pepper. Well, right over here we have another little chili pepper that is similar to the Medusa. Again, the erect fruit set above the plants. This one's called the chili, and that's because it's a chili pepper that contains no capsaicin, so it's cool or chilly. But again, a multitude of colors on this pepper. Well, right over here we have a very showy variegated pepper. I just love this crisp, clean, white foliage that this pepper displays. This one's called the fish pepper. And not only does it have variegated foliage, but the fruit also shows the striping or that variegation. I think that's just a very, very attractive pepper. Now this would be the obvious stage to pick these because they will mature to a bright red later on. But the fish pepper is an African American heirloom pepper that was used a lot in oyster houses and crab houses in the Chesapeake Bay area. Right over here is another variegated pepper. This one's called Variengata, and sometimes it's called the tricolor pepper. And that's because you can see green, white, and purple in the foliage of this plant. Again, it's got the purple flowers instead of white, and you can see the little purple fruit produced on this pepper. I think this is a really good display with the Variengata right here next to the chili. Get a really nice combination right there. Well, occasionally we'll hear a rumor that the ornamental peppers are poisonous, but that's not true. All forms of Capsicum annuum are edible. Now there is a plant that is related to the peppers that is poisonous, and we've got one right here for demonstration purposes. This is the Jerusalem cherry, also called the Christmas cherry. And you can see that it does look a lot like a pepper. Got these little marble-sized orange fruits that are very attractive. And the pepper kind of looks like a pepper plant, but it is poisonous. We've got this wire barrier around it here so no one will pick that and start vomiting or get an upset stomach or have some other problems. Well, when it comes to picking our peppers, they're of course usable at any size, and I recommend that you use hand clippers or a sharp knife when you're harvesting your peppers and just cut away the fruit stem. And that's because if you come in with your hands and try to pull these off, a lot of the time what will happen is a good chunk of the plant will tear away with the fruit and you'll lose a lot of production. When you're harvesting the really hot peppers, it's a good idea to wear gloves, and remember, don't rub your eyes. Well, whether you grow them for food or as ornamentals, you're sure to enjoy these New World peppers that have become so popular internationally.